Hello, and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I'm your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and our Podengo puppy, Sophie. Welcome. If you are looking for me on Ravelry, I am Christy-Layl, and on Instagram, I am Christy-Layl without the dash, and I will put the spellings for those down below. I am slightly skewed in my position today because I'm hoping that the fan on this side of the camera will not be quite as loud. I haven't had anybody complain about the fan, but I don't want to have anybody complain either, so I'm hoping this will maybe make it a little bit quieter, and it'll be a little bit easier on everybody, and I won't die of heat stroke up here. I am really looking forward to autumn, and I realize that I don't have a whole lot of room to complain because it is Colorado, and therefore not all that hot. I don't think we've gotten up over 100 yet this summer. We normally only have 1 or 2 days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but which is what, like 37 degrees Celsius, somewhere around there. But we've had a longer time of, mid 90s, high 90s weather, where normally it's only, June we still get, fairly cool days, and then July we get, it's mostly in the 90s, and then August it really cools down, where it seems like we got some 90 degrees early in May and whatnot. So it just seems like while summer hasn't been as intense, it's been longer, and that may be because I haven't left my house, so it could be completely that the way that I'm observing it is different. I don't know. Anyway, this is not a weather channel. This is not a Stranded podcast. This is a knitting podcast. So let's go ahead and get into knitting. I have a lot to show you again today. Several knitting things and several acquiring things, just FYI. But again, like last time, I will warn you when it is time to go through all the things that I have recently received in the mail, and you guys can tootle on if you're not interested in seeing that stuff. I completely understand, but some people really like it, and so there you have it. Okay, so FOs. My first FO is a pair of Christmas socks. Surprise, surprise. It is this pair. These are lovely. I'm really happy with how these turned out. This yarn is Tia's Terrific Threads. Of course, I will link her shop down below. The colorway is called Christmas Wrapping, and I just really like the color. I think it looks good. I like how they turned out. I did them with my Turkish toe cast on. I did a true afterthought heel, in that I put it in after I was done with the entire foot of the sock, and I did 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. That's my normal sock recipe. If you are looking for my sock recipe, I do have a free pattern on Ravelry. It's just called Christy's Stripey Sock Recipe, and it just puts together my favorite bits of socks. You'll notice that pretty much every true sock knitter who knits more than, 2 or 3 pairs a year tends to have a recipe that they like the best. It's the one that they go to. They don't have to remember anything anymore. It's just ingrained in their muscle memory, and they just go and do it. And this is mine. So yeah, that is FO number 1. FO number 2 has actually been ripped out. I knit a project bag, a dice bag rather, for Ron using dragon scales, and it was awful, so I ripped it out. I think I recorded a clip of me doing that, so I'll put it here. Hey guys, it's Christy from the past. I wanted to tell you really quickly about some dice bags that I have made, because some of them, or one of them, is going to be destroyed. Shh, don't tell it, it doesn't know. And another one is going to be gifted away before I podcast again. So, I'm taking this opportunity. I'm in a different position. I'm in the same position, sitting in a different spot in my library. So this is basically where I would be looking when I'm sitting in my normal spot. My normal spot is on the other side of the room, facing this way. I am now facing that spot. But I didn't want to set up everything, and so I'm just kind of resting my my phone on my ball winder and hoping that it won't fall over. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I knit this. This is a dice bag. More importantly, this is a dragon scale dice bag. However, I was never quite happy with it. I followed a pattern, and I will put the details to that pattern right there. But I followed a pattern, but I didn't follow it. I, in my infinite wisdom, after my dozen or so years knitting, figured I knew better than the designer. We all know where that gets you, right? And so I made some changes to the bag. Not major changes, but she put all the dragon scales on with purl stitches instead of knit stitches, and I didn't want to fiddle with that. So, I just basically put them on the way you would put on beads after the fact, where you kind of loop them onto the row below, if that makes sense. And so I did that in stockinette stitch, and then finished up the bag, and it looked fine. It looked fine. I showed this to Ron. It's a dice bag. Did I say that? So games like Dungeons and Dragons, which is a tabletop role-playing game that's been around forever and ever, got a bad rap back when I was a kid. So my parents never let me play it because they said it was demonic. Come to find out, it's no different than playing a video game, but you use your imagination instead of the video, so it's actually better for your brain. Anyway, so you have all these dice, and they have different sides, and depending on, not different sides, well, they do have different sides, but different number of sides. So depending on what kind of spot you are in the game, I really haven't really ever played it, but Ron has played it since the 80s. So, but depending on what you're doing in the game, you have to roll these different kinds of dice, and it tells you whether or not you've defeated whatever creature you're trying to beat, or whether you manage to unlock whatever you're trying to unlock, or whatever. So it's all random, just, odds. And so anyway, so I made a dice bag for Ron, and he loved it. And my children, who also play, decided that they wanted to have their own dice bag, so they picked out colors, and then picked out colors of dragon scales, which these are aluminum dragon scales. They look like, they come in bags like this. It's about 100 to a bag, depending on who you buy them from, but generally 100 per bag. And they look like that. And you can get them in all different colors. These are the small size. They have tiny, which are smaller than these, obviously. Medium, and tiny, small, medium, and large. And I have only got the small size. They are slightly domed. I don't know if you can tell. Well, if you can't, trust me, they're slightly domed, and they have a hole, obviously, for the yarn to go through. And I got this set, which was 2 bags of 100. I got 100 in silver and then 100 in varying colors. I got these from Amazon, and I paid entirely too much money. Then I found an Etsy seller in Louisville, Colorado, so she's local, which is awesome because it only takes a day for these to get here. I also found another Etsy seller in New Jersey, So I will link both of those below. But there's like green, orange, red, blue, let's see, there's purple, and I think there's pink. I didn't get pink. And then for neutrals, there's gold, silver, black, and bronze, and champagne, which is champagne color. Anyway, so I was looking to do another bag, a couple of bags actually, one for Tatum, one for Delaney, one for Delaney's best friend, and then one for each of the parents of Delaney's best friend, whom we play with on a weekly basis. And so anyway, I was looking at this and I was like, you know what, it just doesn't look quite right. Let me go ahead and make it to the exact pattern. Come to find out, that makes a huge difference. So this is the first one, and it looks okay. It doesn't look so good when it's flat, but when it's filled up, it looks okay. This one is the way that it's supposed to be made, and it looks amazing. It looks amazing filled, it looks amazing unfilled. I absolutely love it. This is the one for Delaney's best friend. And I will actually get into this a little bit more in a minute, but let me talk about this one still. So it uses 231 scales. So you need to get several packages of these, 3 if you want to make just one dragon scale bag. These are not super cheap. These are about $10, $8 to $10 per 100. So not a real cheap hobby, but if you're looking to do something, but not a cheap hobby, not a cheap hobby, but none of us got into knitting for cheapness, right? Because yarn is not cheap either. That is one thing that I will say, you don't use a whole lot of yarn. So the yarn part is pretty cheap, and you can use just scraps, you can use whatever. You need worsted weight yarn, so you could use the cheapest acrylic because it doesn't really matter. I used leftovers for this one. I grabbed this leftover, which is Spud and Chloe sweater, which is 55% wool and 45% organic cotton, and it worked perfectly. It's worsted weight, and it was perfect. I used it just once. Then I made an I-cord by hand out of some leftover DK weight yarn, I think. And that's what I did with this one. For this one, the recipient wanted black yarn, and I, surprise, surprise, do not have any black yarn in worsted weight yarn. I don't have any black in hardly anything, honestly, because I'm not a big fan of black. But I did have several skeins of this that I had gotten from a friend whose mother was a knitter who had passed away, and her friend gave me a bag of yarn, and this was in it. So this is, in fact, I'll grab this one, Lanaloft blue, brown sheep wool, Lanaloft sport weight, yeah, the Brown Sheep Company, Lanaloft sport weight. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. Which is a sport weight, 100% moth-proofed wool. It's kind of a rustic wool. It's not, it kind of feels like a lopey type of yarn. It almost looks like it's a single. I don't know if you guys can tell. And it's covered in dog hair. Sorry, I apologize for that. But yeah, it looks like it would be good for color work. I have a bag filled with different colors, and that's kind of what I'd been holding on to it for, was thinking, well, you could probably see the stitch definition or the yarn definition a little bit better on this color. This is Manor Gray. But yeah, it's a single, and it looks like it would do good for color work. So I've been kind of holding on to it for that reason. But I had 2 skeins in Black Bear, colorway LL03S as in Sam, Black Bear. So I figured, well, I might as well use these. I would have probably put them in something in color work, but I can always get this yarn again. This is a commercial yarn, so it's cheap and easy to get a hold of. So I took this, but it's sport weight. And I needed worsted weight, if you recall. So I took this and I held it double with this. I don't know if you can tell, but this is navy. This actually is the leftover from my dark water sweater that I'm knitting by Jennifer Steingass. So this is Chasing Rabbits in her Miralo base, which is 100% superwash deluxe merino wool. And the colorway is indigo, and it is a very nice companion to the black. It gives us, I don't know if you guys can see that, this really nice mottled black navy. Look, I can't really turn it inside out, unfortunately. There you go. So because she wanted these colors, which I know look very like Captain America, but they are, I think they're colorways. She plays hockey, and I think they're the colors of her hockey team. But this is what she wanted, and she wanted them in this order. So you can see I did alternating blue and red with silver in between. And it's 11 rows of scales, and there's 21 scales per row, so that gives you an idea of how many you need. And yeah, so I still need to knit the I-cord cincher, and then here is a picture of it being ripped out, and here are the 2 properly finished dice bags. This one is for Tatum. It is, these are the colors that she wanted. So the pattern is called Scale Mail Dice Bag by Krista McKenney, I think. If I've got that wrong, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. And of course, I'll link to it down below. The link will go to Ravelry, by the way. Just FYI, if you're having problems viewing Ravelry. But it calls for a worsted weight. And I had a whole bunch of this Lanaloft that I mentioned in the clip, and it's sport weight, so I held it double with some fingering weight with some sock yarn, in order to get a mottled look and to give me the right weight of yarn for the bag. And so I did that, and then added the scales, and then I got one of these. This is a tulip I-cord maker, which I got on Amazon, and so it makes I-cord real quick and easy. So I figured I'm going to be making a good 9 of these bags. I do not want to knit that much I-cord. Don't enjoy knitting I-cord. Who does, really? I mean, I guess there are some people who do, and they're just weird people, but so yeah, so I got this. I do recommend this. This is very easy to use. It took a second for me to figure out, because it's got instructions and diagrams, but once I got it started, it was easy to finish up the I-cord. It was very smooth, and then I made the second one without even having to refer to the instructions again. So yeah, it comes with this piece. It's got a 2.2 millimeter crochet hook and a weight that you use to keep your tension for the I-cord. So yeah, do recommend this good piece of equipment, and I will be using it anytime I need I-cord in the future. And I will say that there have been a couple of patterns that have called for like an I-cord pulley for like a hoodie or an I-cord sash or something like that, and I've not knit them because I don't want to knit the I-cord, but now I don't have a problem with it. I do have a second dice bag completed. That is this one. This is for Delaney's best friend Susan, and I held this together with some blue. I believe I showed you guys that in the clip. I recorded the clip like a week and a half ago, so I don't actually remember what's in there. And I did the I-cord in the blue. So those yarns, the red is Hazelknit's Artisan Sock in Vamp, which I used for this pair of colorwork socks, and then the blue is the Chasing Rabbits fiber, her Miralux, which is just merino and no nylon, and the colorway is indigo, and I've used it for my dark water sweater, which is still on the needles. We're not going to talk about that. So yeah, so that worked out perfectly, and then I'm working on the next one for Delaney, and that one I'm holding double with a 20 gram mini of purple. I don't know what it is. I got it from somewhere, but it works. She wanted purple, blue, and black. Actually, I guess she wanted red, purple, and black, but I, for some reason, got it in my head that she wanted blue, so I started it with blue, and she said, no, actually, I like it better that way. So I ran out of black scales. So scales come like this. They come in bags of 100. You can buy bags of 1,000 from one place on Etsy that I found, but I don't need 1,000 of one color, so I've just been buying hundreds and mixing them up. I have several colors, but I ran out of black. So, and unfortunately, the gal that I most often, there's two. Okay, so there's the ringlord.com, which is a website that I think the designer of the bag, that's where she gets her scales from. But I found better prices on Etsy. There's one gal in Louisville who is, it's about 45 minutes away from here. She's great and quick, and I normally get it within one day from when she ships it. And she ships it the day I buy it. However, I had to order the black, and that one is having a hard time getting here. So it's been a couple of days. I'm hoping it'll show up tomorrow. And yeah, they're just, they're fun to make. They're easy and quick. I can make one in a day. It doesn't take long. There's really not a lot of knitting involved, honestly. There's not a lot of yarn that gets used. I think I'm knitting it on size 7s. No, size 5s. I was way off, sorry. So US 5s. And yeah, the only reason why I don't have more done is because I ran out of black. So I just need more black. But they're fun. If you have somebody who plays D&D or any kind of tabletop game that involves dice, or even somebody who really likes 6 dice, or what is it, Mexican Train? No, that's a domino game. But there's other dice games. Anybody really likes Yahtzee? I mean, you could totally make them a dice bag for that. Or, you know, my aunt had a great idea. They were over. She said, you know, if you got a little pot to fit in there, it could be decoration for a plant. Put the pot inside and have the plant coming out, which is a great idea. My mom wants one just because they're cute. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? I don't know, I'll find something. So yeah, those are fun. So I kind of mixed in my whips and my FOs and some acquisitions in that, and I apologize, but yeah, that was actually the end of my FOs anyway. I just had the socks and the 2 dice bags that I finished. I have several things on the needles though, because I have had a bit of like cast-on itis, knitting ADD. I just want to go. I'm like little bits here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, I've been all over the place. So let's go ahead and get into whips. So first, or I guess second whip after the bag. that I am working on, or that is a whip, is this sock. I see, as you can see, I have a hoe. This is the first sock done. The second sock has the tiniest little toe. Not a whole lot going on there, but I got pulled away. So this is another Christmas sock. This is Regia Candy Color, which is it's a 25. It's a 4-ply. I think it's 25 or 70. Yeah, 75% wool, 25% nylon or polyamide. The colorway is 01162. It's coming out like that. I kind of like it. It's like a vintagey Christmas feel to it. And I will say that this yarn is not soft in any way. This is like rougher, it feels, than Perfect, but maybe that's just in my head. I don't know. But I am enjoying knitting the sock. I know these socks will last forever because they aren't merino and they have the high nylon content. So yeah. Spoiler alert, in my acquisitions, I have got all 31 colorways for my 31 pairs of Christmas socks. So I do now have enough yarn to knit all of the socks to do my Advent. So now I just have to do the knitting. I've got another pair of Christmas socks on the needles. Haven't gotten quite as far with this pair. I just have the foot. This is Andromeda sock yarn in Santa's Bermuda shorts. And I do like how this colorway is knitting up a lot. I think it's really pretty. So I've just turned the heel. I'm just a little bit past, a couple of rows past turning the heel. So yeah, not a lot to say about that. But I am hoping to get these done fairly soon so that I can start on the next pair. Okay. A couple more whips. Oh, I am doing the Gnome Mystery Knit Along by Sarah Shira, I believe. She's the designer, and I showed you guys the yarn last podcast. I got it all from Lady and Men Fiber Arts in some very pretty colors. Heirloom, Look on the Bright Side, Vintage Sleigh Ride, and Vengeance. Those are the colors for my gnome. If we've gotten to clue 2, so I was thinking, and I don't know why I was thinking this. I was thinking that there was going to be a week between each clue. There's only like 2 days, so we've had 2 clues already. I think the 3rd clue comes out tomorrow or Tuesday. If you haven't finished clue 2, although it really doesn't take long to do a clue, which is why I shouldn't be surprised that they're coming out every 2 days, because it's only a gnome. It can't be that much knitting. It's not like you're doing a huge shawl or something like that. But anyway, I have, so if you haven't done clue 2, then look away now. But here is what I've got for the little gnome guy. I'm pretty sure I know where this goes. But I'll reserve any details for those who aren't looking and don't want to know. But yeah, I am enjoying it. It is fun. You only have to really donate, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, at least for the first 2 clues. That's all I've had to do is spend about a half an hour, and voila, it's done. I have 2 more whips. This one I'm proud to say that I finally made some progress on. This is the lounging top in Sport Weight by Joji Locatelli, which I am knitting out of the Sanguine Griffin in their Bugga base. Sanguine Griffin is no longer yarn company anymore, but you can still find this in D-stashes. It is a lovely base. It is 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon, so it is very, very soft. And the colorways that I am using is Orange Assassin Bug, which was always my favorite color because orange. And here is where I am on the top. So you do the sleeves. It's a paid for pattern, but you can obviously see that you do the sleeves. You do the sleeve edging along with it, so I don't have to add any more to the sleeves. And I have taken them off, just barely taken them off. So I just basically got to knit down the body now. I've got it on this really small needle. It's like a 14-inch needle, so you can't really see how it looks. But I do like how it's turning out. I love how the Orange Assassin Bug is knitting up. I did all of this top in one skein, using just one skein. I think I mentioned my skeins I did not buy them all at the same time. Some of them I didn't even buy. Some of them I traded for. I don't even remember. I've had them for a long time, so I don't remember where they all came from, but they don't match. It's pretty obvious. So I am alternating, but because of the interesting construction of this, I did all of this bit so far with just one skein, and then I've just started, after I separated for the sleeves, I started alternating. So I am alternating now. Plenty of time to, this is the first skein that I use, plenty of this left over to kind of meld in to the second skein, and then once I finish up what's left of this first skein, I will alternate into that third skein, and it should work out pretty well. So that is that. I did put this on hold, however, because I got some yarn in the mail with a request to do a review on it. So I got excited about that, and I wanted to be able to do the review in a timely manner. So this is the yarn that I got. I'm not going to review it now. I'm going to wait till I finish the product, or finish the knit rather. But I will give you some information, and I am enjoying it. This is Kramer yarns in their Tatami Tweed base, Tatami Tweed DK, because I do believe they have a worsted as well. So it is 45% cotton and 55% acrylic. So not yarn snob yarn, but I wanted to try it because I want to knit all the things that I can wear, and one, I want to be able to wear them in my office, which is sometimes warmer than I would like, assuming we go back into the office, of course. So this, having the cotton, makes that nice. Plus, I wanted to be able to, I can't always afford the really nice yarns, so I would rather be able to knit several sweaters a year from yarns that are more cost effective than one sweater out of super high expensive ultra indie hand dyed yarns. I can't always justify that. I do have a lot of yarn in my stash that I could pull from, but I just want to be able to have more options and not break the bank. These are great because they're only like $6 a skein, and each skein is, oh, there you go, it's a thousand. It's 100 grams, and each skein is about 250 yards. And what I kind of like about these, I'll probably mention this again when I do the review, is that this is a tweed. You can actually see the tweed better in this one. So it's a tweed yarn, but those people that are allergic to wool, those poor souls that are allergic to wool, but still like the tweed look, can get this without having the wool, which is nice. So anyway, I've got 5 skeins in this color, which is pumpkin, colorway number 1608, and then 1 skein of this, which is colorway 1605 burgundy. And I am making an Alaskan sweater. Put the information around. And I have really been enjoying making this. So here's what I've got so far. Again, I'm kind of in the same spot as I was for the Hohi lounging top, and I've just taken them off the sleeves. I've taken the sleeves off the needles, so there's not a whole lot to see, but I am really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to when I can wear it. It's pleasant to knit with. I do like the fabric. Here, I'll show you the back. I do like the fabric that I am getting. I like the light tweedy look of the pumpkin, although I do like the heavier tweedy look of the burgundy as well. So yeah, and it kind of looks mottled, which I like a lot. I'm really enjoying it. So hopefully this will be done the next time that I podcast. The Alaska sweater looks like this, and so this burgundy will be my trees. And yeah, so I'll get more into the yarn when I do the review, when I finish the knit, but I am yeah, just really enjoying it. Okay, so that is my final whip. So now I have a lot of yarn to show you. A lot of sweater quantities. Okay, let's start with some sock yarn. I couldn't help myself and got Yarn Cafe Creations second Strawberry Shortcake Summer Collection kit, or not kit, but collection, I guess is the correct word. So this came with raspberry tort, lemon meringue, lime chiffon, purple pie man, and angel cake. So these are obviously colorways inspired by strawberry shortcake, which is, I had a bunch of strawberry shortcakes. I loved the way they smelled when I was a kid. And I watched the show, and yeah, strawberry shortcake and Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, Care Bears, Punky Brewster. Those, I loved all that stuff when I was a kid. So so yeah, I'm gonna add these to all of my minis, my 20-gram minis, which I'm kind of thinking about putting together to make some scrappy sweaters in the future. So that's probably what these will go for, but they are super pretty. I think I liked the first set more that I showed you guys last time, but there are some very pretty ones in here. I love lemon meringue and lime chiffon especially. So there's that. And then I did mention in my last podcast that Simply Sock Company had a Christmas in July sale, and so I jumped right on that. I got 4 skeins. This one, just absolutely gorgeous. So this is stitched together in their Frugal Fingering base, which is 100% superwash merino. The colorway is called Jingle Batch number 6, and I just thought it was really pretty. Then I got 2 skeins of the Mineville Wool Project in their BFL sock, which is 100% blue face Leicester. This one is called Holly Jolly, and this one is called Sneaking Santa. Now, I normally wouldn't get something that has, you know, black on it, but I loved that it was called Sneaking Santa. So it's got, you know, the Santa colors here, and then this is like coal dust, and that just tickled me. So yeah, so there are those two, and then the last one that I got is this one. This is Knitterly Things Vesper Sock in a rare bespeckled. I don't think I've ever had one of her speckled colorways, but I could not pass this one up. This is called Grinchy Business, and it has this great mini for heels, toes, and cuffs, and I just think it's gorgeous. So there's that, and then, so that's 31 colorways of Christmas. I'm sorry, 30 colorways of Christmas. 31 is just so awesome. I mentioned in my last podcast, when I showed you these socks that I knit out of woolly elephant, that how much I would have loved to have been able to buy Heather's full skein of Merry and Bright, the variegated part of that trio of minis, and she contacted me. So I said how much I would love to buy it, but I couldn't justify the shipping from the U.S., from the U.K. rather, to the U.S. because it's especially high right now, and due to COVID. So Heather contacted me, and she said if I would buy the yarn, she would ship it to me for free. She said if I wanted to, I could buy the yarn, and then she would ship it to me for free, which was super awesome, so much more than I could have hoped for. So I took advantage of that. I jumped right on it, and I got a full skein of Merry and Bright. This is a 75-25 merino blend. I absolutely love it. The colorway is gorgeous. Can't wait to knit this up. And then, because I was already making an order, I got this adorable owl Halloween bag. It's owls in costumes, with orange stars on the inside. It's got a pocket. I loved this bag the first time I saw it. I'm so glad I was able to buy it. So thank you, Heather, so much for shipping that to me. You're super awesome. And yeah, super cool. Let's see. So I've got 3 sweater quantities that I picked up. There's a website called Little Knits. And Little Knits is going to cause me trouble because they keep sending me emails, of course, because I'm on their newsletter. I should probably cancel that, but I'm not ready to yet. And they have yarn that they have deeply discounted. We're talking like 65% off. So I can get a sweaters quantity for less than $50, or about $50. So I got 20 skeins of this. This green is not turning out right on camera. It is a very jade green. It's beautiful. This is Noro Curion. It's Silk Garden Light Solo. In the colorway 2005. And it's beautiful. I've got 20 skeins. That should be enough to make whatever I want. I do not have a plan for this, but I do think it's pretty. I'm not taking it out of the bag because it's so beautifully packed. And then I also got these from Little Knits as well. I'm also not taking them out of the bag because they're perfectly packaged and sealed and everything. So each of these are 10 skeins of Elsbeth Lavold Silky Wool, which I showed you guys last week, or in my last podcast, that I'd gotten from eBay. These ones came from Little Knits, as I mentioned. So this is colorway 152, which I think is called Blueberry. It's a beautiful blue. And then this one is colorway 54. I don't remember what this was called, but it's just a true brown. And these are, they're 45% wool, 35% silk, and 20% nylon. So they kind of knit up a little tweedy looking. And I do like tweed yarn, so I can make a sweater out of each of these. Yeah, and I think they were $40 a bag of 10, something like that. Then I have one last purchase. I don't know how I came across it, but I came across this pattern. I think it's called Wingspan. It's gorgeous. And I've been considering making some costumey cosplay things. We go to, or we have gone to and would like to continue to go to, a place called Evermore in Utah. And it's like live action role play. So it's like D&D, only it's very, the artisanry is amazing. So I know I talked about it when we went there last year. We went last October. We would have gone this summer if COVID hadn't happened. But you go, and it's a park. It's big enough to, you know, like a Disneyland, smaller, much smaller than Disneyland. Like one of the lands in Disneyland, like Frontierland or whatever, a little bit bigger than that. And it's made to be like a town, and there is a whole world that's going on in there throughout the year. Each day is different, and they have actors that put on these parts, and you can go on quests and join guilds and do all kinds of things, and they encourage you to be in character yourself, and therefore be in costume. When we were there last time, it was our first time, and hadn't ever been there before, and so we weren't really sure what to expect, and so we kind of kept it kind of low-key. But now we have better ideas, and so we're looking forward to having a little bit more costuming type of things. And I saw this shawl that is wings, and I thought, that's amazing. Well, the yarn that you're supposed to use to knit or the yarn that was used in the design, I think it's called Blue Barn. It's gorgeous, but it's a little bit out of my price range for something like this. Maybe in the future, but I wanted to make sure, because I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to need this shawl for any costume, but I just thought it, and I was like, you know, it'd be good to have on hand. So I was looking, and I was looking on Etsy for like cotton options, because another thing is that if we go in the summer, next summer, hopefully, then I won't want to wear a lot of wool, so having something out of cotton would be great. And I came across these. So these are yarn art. Yarn art flowers. They are, find the yarn makeup. Each one of these is 250 grams, so I can make the whole shawl out of one of these. They are 1,093 yards. 55% cotton and 45% acrylic. So easy to care for and cool enough to be able to wear as a costume during the warmer months and not die. This is colorway number 258. I also got a second one because they're coming from Turkey, and I figured if I'm gonna do it, I might as well go all out, and so I got this one as well, which is colorway 255, a more kind of rainbowy, but I think this is the one that I'm going to use to make that pattern, and then this one may become something else later. I also picked up, because I got free shipping if the order was over $35. Then that's the thing, is that these were only $14 or $15 a piece, so I could make the whole shawl for $15, or a whole top, like a shell or something like that, a tank top or a cap sleeve, something, for $15. I couldn't pass that up. So, but I needed $35 to get free shipping, so I added this, which is Alize Angora Gold Ombre Batik. So it's a gradient, a slow gradient, and I thought I could use this. My mother-in-law really loves this color, so I thought maybe I could knit her a shawl out of this, just something to wear over her shoulders, like a traditional triangle shawl. This is 80% acrylic and 20% wool, so it'll be easy for her to care for as well, which is good because she's in assisted living. And the colorway is 7245. So yeah, I just thought it was pretty. I thought she would like it. I don't have any plans to knit anything for her right now, but maybe her birthday's in April, so maybe next birthday, something like that. Okay, that is all of that. Oh, no, I have 2 books that I picked up. This one, this is amazing. I am really, really impressed with this book. As you can see, there are several things in here that I want to make. This is an interweave collection. I picked it up because I wanted something. I think I was looking at the Central Park hoodie, which is one of Interweave's most famous sweaters, and it was huge when I was still new knitter, new to Ravelry, and I saw that had been published in here because I had the pattern in a magazine, but I got rid of the magazine, and so I was looking for a way to get the pattern again. And this was an option, and I found it on thrift books for, I don't know, like $15. It is originally sold for $45, if you can see that. So I figured that was a good deal, and I looked through it on Ravelry real quick, and I found more than 3 patterns that I was like, yeah, okay, that justifies buying this book for $15. But there are so many patterns in here that I'm like, oh, yeah, I would like to knit that for myself. Let me see if I can show you some options. I'm very keen. Oh, well, here's so this is the Central Park hoodie. This was the original catalyst for it. There are some patterns in here that I have already knit. Like there's the Dahlia cardigan, which I knit for myself. The draw for this is this lace panel in the back, and I made it several years ago out of orange. Surprise, surprise. Let me find some of the ones that I really loved. Oh, this one. This is the Trail Henley. This was actually knit out of Elsbeth Lavold silky wool, so I could knit it out of any of those. The Feather Nest Raglan. There was a lot in here. There's some pretty summer tops. The Kayleen pullover. I mean, there's just lots and lots. 100 knits, 100 different patterns in here. And I mean, there's also some, beautiful cowls and hats and scarves and gloves. But yeah, I was just really impressed with this. And then I happened to go to Second and Charles yesterday, and I have a lot of store credit at Second and Charles because I have a lot of books, and then I read them, and if I don't want to read them again, then I take them into Second and Charles, get store credit, and use that to buy things from them. So other books, or they have other tchotchkes and stuff like that. But I decided to check out their knitting section. Didn't find a lot, but I did find this one. This is Kaif's Classic, so it's Kaif Fassett. It's 25 patterns. He's known for his amazing color work designs. So I figured I should take it home. It was $8. So, and it was all store credit. So yeah, figured it was worth a try. So those are the books. That's all the things that I have gained recently. I did want to talk about three books that I am currently reading and enjoying. One is Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink. If you are, or Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner, yeah. If you are a fan of podcasts, Welcome to Night Vale has been a podcast for a while. And I haven't listened to all of it, but I do like to listen to it. It is interesting and enjoyable and funny, quirky and weird. It's kind of like Twin Peaks in its weirdness, and I've been enjoying it off and on for a couple of years. This is the first novel. There are 3, and so I have them all, and I decided I should go ahead and read them. So this I am enjoying it. It is it's like the podcast, but I do like where the podcast is just Cecil. The podcast is set as a radio station broadcast from Night Vale, and it's kind of like talk radio, news and whatnot, giving you information about the town of Night Vale. So you only really get Cecil, whereas the book is told from the perspective of people in Night Vale, beyond Cecil, which is nice. Another one that I'm about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it is Mallory by Josh Malerman. This is the sequel to Bird Box. You guys might remember Bird Box. The movie came out on Netflix with Sandra Bullock, and it was amazing. The book was amazing. The movie was good. So this is the sequel, and I was afraid, because Bird Box blew my mind, that the sequel wasn't going to stand up, but I'm about halfway through, and I am pleased that it's not just a repeat of Bird Box. He's brought in new things. He's changed it enough, brought in new things. It's a completely different story. It builds upon the foundation that Bird Box set, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And then lastly, this book came out of nowhere. I picked it up on Kindle. I don't often buy Kindle books. I like to read physical books, and I like to own physical books because I can see them. Kindle, you can't see them. I love book covers and whatnot, but this one is one I must have been one of those when I was checking. You get emails from Amazon, here's 99-cent Kindle deals and stuff like that. So I bought it that way ages ago, like in 2018, 2017, something like that. And then I forgot about it because I don't often read on my Kindle. But I happened to be on it reading a book for some reason, and I finished the book, and it was late, and I didn't want to get out of bed to come into the library here to pick out a new physical book, but I wasn't ready to go to sleep. So I looked through the books that I had on my Kindle, and this was one of them, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just read that. This is the book. It is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's I-A-I-N. And Ian Reid? Anyway, when I first started reading this book, I thought that it was like a breakup book. But this book gets creepy, and it's awesome. I loved it. It's you know how things are just skewed just enough where you're like, that's wrong, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. But it's not so much that you're like, whoa, it's just creepy. I don't want to get too much into it, The book is quick to read. It is like 208 pages. Super fast. Amazing. Netflix. Is it Netflix? I think it's Netflix. Is putting out the movie next month. I didn't know that when I started the book, but I'm super excited about watching the movie. Unfortunately, this author has only written 2 books, maybe 3, so there's not a lot that I can read, but yeah, I was really, really impressed with this and loved it, so I do highly recommend it. I also have it on paperback, so this is what the covers look like normally. I found this at Second and Charles yesterday and picked it up because I'm a little bit obsessed. So anyway, all right, guys, that is all that I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and happy knitting.